I'm gonna be a student today. आजको गेस्ट चाहिँ मैले बोलाएको छु the immigration lawyer, Mr. Madhab Kharel.
We are actually savages. It is the law that keeps us together and makes us human. Or कुनै स्पेसिसमा हुँदैन के यस्तो. This used to be occupation for the elites. The way people view you, होइन? You get that feeling that I think Harvey gets. Law चाहिँ black and white हुन्छ भन्छन् कसैले, but I think there is always a gray area.
Immigrants, international students, एकदम larger scale मा बोलाइरहेको छ.
So the migrants are core part of what makes in Australia.
But now the government has stopped. Never seen this much strict.
Trump recently won an election on an anti-migration agenda. It is a common thread that closer to elections, the government tend to be more stricter on migration intake. Tougher migration is good for votes.
This podcast is presented by Maven Consulting Group. Reach out to them if you have any education and visa inquiry. Knowledge partner, Rees International College. They offer many courses such as aged care, commercial cookery, disability, early childhood, and many more. Supported by Capcom Home Loans, Australia's leading home loan specialist. Magic Momo Cafe, a perfect destination in Melbourne for an authentic Nepalese and Newari cuisines. Yatra The Connection, अस्ट्रेलियामा नेपालीहरूको लागि सबैभन्दा भरपर्दो ट्राभल कम्पनी. Many Films, your photography and videography partner to capture your perfect moment. 25 Hours, the marketing boost you need for your business. Namaste सबैजनालाई. Once again, welcome to another episode of Maven Podcast. As I'm very, very excited because I'm going to be a student today. यो एपिसोडमा चाहिँ किन भन्दैछु म because we're going to talk a lot about Australian law, immigration policies and its scene, what's happening, what about to come and stuff like that. So त्यसैले गर्दा फेरि चाहिँ आजको गेस्ट चाहिँ मैले बोलाएको छु who is a very very respected person in our community, one of the smartest and the brightest mind. So none other than the immigration lawyer, Mr. Madhab Kharel. So Madhavji, welcome to the podcast.
Namaste, Vikiji. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm very humble.
Thank you very much. You're looking very, very sharp. I have to say that.
Thank you so much. You too.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Anyways, my mother, bro. So how are you? How's life?
Life is good. Life is good. Just going through the passage, Bonzani. Just taking what comes, but at the same time, eye on the goal, bane jasto. Just taking one day at a time.
Okay, that's really good. That's really good. So anyways, I'm very much fascinated. Right? I'll just be very, very open as I say. तपाईलाई देख्दाखेरि क्या हुन्छ नि स्पेशली when I met you for the very first time अनि तपाईको भेट्नु भन्दा अगाडि नै I had an impression तपाईको अरूहरुबाट सुनेर तपाईको फोटोजहरु देख्दा पनि हैन
हजुर
हुन्छ नि यति सानो उमेरमा हुन्छ नि being a lawyer and that's really fascinating. Right? So त्यसको लागि चाहिँ huge respect and on the same side जब मैले भेटे the way you carry yourself, the personality, the professionalism is amazing.
Thank you so much.
So you're inspiring a lot of people.
In saying that, Vikiji, same goes. And I think I made a comment previously, I know. To see a young entrepreneur carry yourself in a way you do, I think it's very inspiring because not only you're carrying yourself out, a lot of people, people even your age and younger will be inspired by you because you inspire me too, right?
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Anyways, let's talk about you. So first of all, Madhav bro, तपाई अस्ट्रेलिया कुन इयर आउनु भयो हुन्छ नि तपाईको जर्नी कस्तो थियो एकचोटी भन्दिनु न.
Australia, look, it feels like a lifetime ago, to be honest. I know. Mirror journey, it's quite different to a lot of international students because I came on my father's dependent visa while I was under 18. So it was a long time ago. So my father was a chef. And he came here, त्यति बेला 457 visa भन्थ्यो. अहिले चाहिँ 482 and now they're changing it to skills in demand. And I was a dependent. And I came here, did my high school here. You'll probably ask me after this, but culture shock when I first came here was massive. Because I was at a point in my life where म नेपालको धेरै कुरा सिकिसकेको थिएँ अनि Nepal was my mother tongue. Nepali was my mother tongue. So it was an age where coming here and then a certain age हुन्छ के हाम्रो to adapt language quickly. problem with me was my tongue was wired to speak Nepali. होइन? If you come younger, you have more time to learn. I came at an age where first कुरा culture shock भयो. अनि अर्को कुरा चाहिँ look, I came to a country, I originate from Gulmi, and so humble beginning. My parent comes from a humble beginning. Actually, my grandfather was a farmer. होइन, उहाँले चाहिँ आसाममा काम गर्नुहुन्थ्यो. अनि you know, he earned in Assam, and then त्यति बेला के हुन्थ्यो अरे भन्दा I've heard from my father, आसामबाट ल्याएको पैसा चाहिँ कता इन्भेस्ट गर्ने भन्दाखेरि चितवन वाज वान अफ द कन्सिडरेसन. तर त्यति बेला चितवनमा के हुन्थ्यो अरे होइन, अब आई वाज प्रब्ली नट बोर्न होइन त्यति बेला. चितवनमा त्यति बेलामा गर्मी अनि मलेरिया, सो पिपल युज टु गो पहाड के होइन. तर कहिले काहीँ सोध्छु कि इफ माई फादर त्यो पैसा कमाएको होइन चितवनमा इन्भेस्ट गरेको भए आई डोन्ट नो इफ आई विल बी हियर टु बी अनेस्ट.
Okay, that's really nice. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. So, what inspired you to become a lawyer actually? किनकि it's a very unique occupation होइन, स्पेसली झन् तपाईँको एजमा त आई थिङ्क देयर इज भेरी रेयर पिपल आई सी होइन, कुनै पनि ब्याकग्राउन्डको होस् होइन. तपाईँलाई चाहिँ वाट इन्सपायर यु टु बिकम लयर?
लुक, I always think, I feel like I always had a lawyer in me. Okay? Among my siblings too, हाम्रो यो कुरा भइरहन्छ. My sister, for example, younger sister, उसले 12 secondsहरू पनि she still had no idea what she wants to do. Okay? Early on, I had made up my mind that the field of law would be something I want to do. यसमा I think there are multiple factors. जुन टाइममा grow up भएँ होइन, even when I was young, politically, I was very up to date. माओवादीको बेलामा होइन, there were certain things किनकि अब हामी गुल्मीमा भयो अनि माओवादीहरूको पनि प्रभाव अलि स्ट्रङ थियो गुल्मीमा त्यति बेला. Even though I was a kid, I could see what is happening, and because everything that was happening at that time was law related, okay? Because people wanted a new constitution, people wanted more rights for the minorities. People were fighting for democracy. And when we talk about law as we practice here in Australia, the foundation of that is democracy. Okay? Because in a democracy, people choose their parliamentarian. And parliamentarians, they go to the parliament and they make the laws. I'm just debunking a myth because manchile ke socha lawyer make laws. It's not. It's the MPs that you vote for and they go to the parliament, they make the laws. So I think early on, my politics league, I just like that idea of the law, okay? How we are actually, despite being evolution ko kura garyo bhane, we are actually savages, okay? It is the law that keeps us together and makes us human. Or kunai species ma hudaina ke yesto. We have laws and the law keeps us in check and makes us who we are.
That's really nice. That's really nice. Okay, thank you very much. So भन्छ नि म एउटा सिरिजको याद आउँछ क्या मलाई, सुट्स भन्ने एउटा सिरिज छ क्या होइन. देयर इज लट अफ पिपल, इभन हाम्रो अफिसमा पनि हुन्छ नि, वी गेट सो मच फ्यासिनेटेड बाई द क्यारेक्टर हार्वे स्पेक्टर. सो त्यो कस्तो ग्ल्यामरस कुराहरू देखाउँछ होइन. सो त्यस्तै ग्ल्यामर हुन्छ कि के छ?
यस आई गेस सम वे यस होइन, किनकि द वे पिपल भ्यू यु होइन, you get that, okay? You get that feeling that I think Harvey gets, because certain times, you go to a party and then they say, what do? You say, you're a lawyer. Oh my God, you're a lawyer. You must make a lot of money. So it's just people's, because like you said, this used to be occupation for the elites.
Exactly.
And so I think त्यसको जुन पहिलाको मान्छेको perception छ, it's still going on. Although nowadays you see lawyers, you don't see, especially Australia, I think Nepalमा अझै पनि formal छ होइन. Australiaमा चाहिँ you see lawyers wearing t-shirt and shorts, because they're trying to change that perception that lawyers should not be this elite class, and they should be someone who are approachable. अब ग्ल्यामरको कुरा गर्दा फेरि I think we will probably talk about it later,
Yeah, exactly.
तर यसमा चाहिँ just a quick fact. Australiaमा 1 in 3 lawyer goes through depression and anxiety within the first 10 years of their career.
Oh my God.
So we talk about glamour, but we don't talk about the thing behind the glamour. So yes, I mean suits. It's good for entertainment. I've watched it, but that's not how it is when you're in the occupation. There are a lot of strict rules. होइन त्यसमा एउटा क्यारेक्टर हुन्छ who is not admitted till season 7 and is still practicing law. And त्यो पनि अमेरिकामा. So it's good for entertainment.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for explaining it really, really well. Anyways, there might be so many people, I know, so like say they want to become a lawyer, but they had no idea. Especially हाम्रो कम्युनिटीमा चाहिँ people come in a very different courses जहाँ चाहिँ law लिएर पढ्ने चाहिँ मान्छे एकदमै कमै हुन्छ.
हजुर.
So actually तपाईँले can you educate our audience यहाँ अस्ट्रेलियामा चाहिँ law पढ्ने steps र process चाहिँ के हो?
Okay, यसमा there are a few ways. अब it depends on which visa you are at, होइन. अब जस्तै तपाईँ ब्याचलरमा आउनु भएको छ भने चाहिँ the reason that many Nepalis don't study law, एउटा कुरा चाहिँ people always look for a PR pathway. There is a PR pathway, but it's not as easy because there is not a shortage of domestic lawyers, and it's not a skill that is in shortage. In saying that, if you are an international student, it is difficult to come बाह्र सकेर straight away law पढ्न आउनुको लागि. It is a bit hard. But if you do come here as an international student, let's say you do a bachelor's, तपाईँले bachelor's सकेपछि चाहिँ you can do a postgrad. त्यसलाई चाहिँ juris doctorate भन्छ. त्यो चाहिँ it is a 3-year course. अनि any courseमा bachelor छ भने you can study that. Okay. अनि अर्को चाहिँ के हुन्छ, if you're already a lawyer in Nepal or you finished BA LLB हुन्छ नेपालमा, you can apply हरेक स्टेटमा यहाँ चाहिँ legal admission board separate हुन्छ. So if you're coming to Victoria, for example, you apply to the board, you give your transcript, all your documents, and based on that they will make an assessment. Usually चाहिँ के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि नेपालमा lawyer भइसकेको मान्छेले, if they want to be a lawyer here, they have to study 12 or 13 core units. त्यो पढिसकेपछि you do a practical legal training and then you can become a lawyer.
Okay, that's really nice. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Cost कति लाग्छ भनिदिनु मिल्छ roughly estimated?
International student को लागि actually very expensive, होइन. I think it also varies on which university you're trying to study at. For example, I went to Deakin. Deakinमा international student को लागि yearly it is $38,000. $38,000. It's a 4-year course if you do a bachelor's. So it is very expensive. So if you do want to study law and money is a concern, I would say maybe finish your bachelor's and then when things settle and you have money coming in, or when you become a PR, because you can apply for fee help or HEX, which is a debt, but while you're studying, it helps. Another thing about law, I want to add, Vicky, brother, is that when you're studying law, you actually do have to give time. You cannot say, I'll work full time and I'll study law full time. If you do say that, I will say you're not going to be a good lawyer, because what the law professors will tell you is that, so let's say in a semester you're doing 4 subjects, 4 units, भन्छ कुनै युनिभर्सिटीमा एउटा सब्जेक्टलाई हप्ताको 30 घण्टा दिनुपर्छ भन्छ कि पास हुनको लागि. So if you add 4 units, that's 120 units. If you add that in a week, that's 5 days, in a full 5 days, 24 hours. So that is the amount of time you have to give per subjects. किनकि हजुरको जब every semester मा every subject को exam हुन्छ. The assignments are normally worth 20 to 30% of your total marks. 70-60% is your exam. And normally hurdle भन्ने हुन्छ, where if you fail the exam, it doesn't matter even if you got 100% in your assignments, you could still fail the subject.
Oh my God, that's harsh, right?
It's a bit harsh, yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to you to actually recall तपाईको स्पेशली प्रोभाइडली तपाईको जर्नीले पनि मान्छेहरूलाई एजुकेसन दिन्छ होला, हैन? सो तपाईले चाहिँ कसरी गर्नुभयो त्यो ल त्यस्तो ब्रुटली डेडिकेटेड हुनुपर्ने ठाउँमा, हैन? हाउ डु यु रिकल, वेयर यु वर्किङ कि यु वर फुल टाइम स्टुडेन्ट ल पढ्दा फेरि चाहिँ?
यसमा I'd like to say I'm very lucky in a sense that I did get a full scholarship.
Oh wow.
Okay, from Deakin University. This scholarship was given to people. त्यसमा 3 criteria थियो. एउटा academically well हुनु पर्थ्यो, अर्को चाहिँ somebody who is involved in community. म चाहिँ हाई स्कुलदेखि नै I was involved in community. अनि अर्को भनेको चाहिँ diversity ko लागि pani it was a thing, because law even today, even in Australia, it is very diversity is still lacking. For example, at Deakin, when I was there, I think out of 500 students, there was one Indian international student, and I was the other, non-white.
Okay. I'm so sorry to cut you off. के अरे इन्टरनेसनल डाइभर्सिटी भन्ने बित्तिकै तपाईँ त्यतिखेर एज एन इन्टरनेसनल स्टुडेन्ट पढ्नु भएको थियो कि एज अ पर्मानेन्ट रेसिडेन्ट पढ्नु भएको थियो?
त्यति बेला I was still a dependent.
Still a dependent.
Yes.
Please continue.
When I say diversity in terms of, like you said, Suruma, a lot of people from immigrant backgrounds, they go on to do other occupations. Law is not their first choice. अनि त्यो सेन्समा पनि होला होइन. So this scholarship was a great foundation for me, and once again I'm very lucky to have this. Even having the scholarship condition थियो scholarshipको, मेरो marks चाहिँ certain हुनु पर्थ्यो, otherwise the money will stop coming in. So I think that was also one incentive that drove me to do well. अब अर्को कुरा के थियो भन्दा Deakin, I was living in St. Albans, यो चाहिँ वेस्टमा पर्ने suburb हो. Burwood was my campus. So westको far westबाट far eastमा जानु पर्थ्यो.
Oh my God.
Sometimes I had lectures at 8:30 a.m. in the morning, and attendance हुन्थ्यो होइन. So early days when I didn't have a car, wake up early, walk to the train station, and from St. Albans Flinders Street train लिएर जाने, Flinders Streetबाट Box Hill train लिएर जाने, अनि Box Hillबाट बस लिएर, अनि बसबाट चाहिँ बल्ल युनिभर्सिटी होइन. few times because of the transportation होइन ढिला पनि भयो होला. But in saying that, म बिहान 8:30 मा गएँ भने म 8 बजेसम्म अथवा 9-10 बजेसम्म म युनिभर्सिटीको लाइब्रेरी छोड्दैन, even after my class is finished, because I know I'll waste so much time commuting that was my best time. If I stay there, I'll get work done. If I'm commuting, by the time I come home, I'm exhausted.
Exactly. Wow. So त्यतिखेर you didn't work, you just like full-time student?
I did work. You
did work as well?
Yes,
oh my
yes.
God.
I've done few things. So I worked as a kitchen hand.
During that
During that time too. Yes,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yes. I used to make up time for it, whenever I had time. So part-time काम गरिरहेको थिएँ. So kitchen hand in a cafe. I worked, I've done funny jobs. For example, एउटा चाहिँ मेरो घर नजिकै न्युजपेपर हुन्छ नि डेलिभर गर्ने थियो कि. So I used to get on my bike होइन, drop those newspapers, and I used to get commission किनकि त्यो न्युजपेपरमा एउटा पेज हुन्छ where people can buy products. So त्यो मान्छेले चाहिँ if they buy a product, I used to get 30% of that product. So the newspaper distribute भन्दा पनि त्यो प्रोडक्टको लागि मैले पुश गर्थेँ कि. So whenever I see someone out on the हुन्छ नि बाहिर पोर्चमा भयो भने I used to go talk to them and try to convince them होइन. And then down the line मेरो third year तिर चाहिँ I managed to get a job within the university as a student advisor.
Okay,
That was in my third year. So I think and the pay was pretty good. It was university होइन, and plus it was good that I was doing a job at the same university where I was studying. So that मान्छेहरू पनि चिनेको हुने भयो, and I was able to network.
Okay, that's really nice. So now, anyways, thank you so much है यस्तो जर्नी सेयर गर्नुभयो होला होइन. I think nobody knew क्या, किनकि सबैजना तपाईँ एकैचोटि आउनुभयो कम्युनिटीमा एज अ लयर. We started seeing your picture होइन, तर कसैलाई त्यो थाहा छैन क्या. Everyone had a curiosity कि माधव खरेलको ब्याकग्राउन्ड के थियो त होइन, कसरी आयो. So thank you so much for sharing it.
No worries. Thank you.
Now, अब हामी जाऊँ तपाईँको एज अ लयर भएपछिको लाइफमा.
हजुर.
सो अहिलेकै कुराहरू गरौँ न. सो वाट आर द मोस्ट च्यालेन्जेस द्याट तपाईँको अहिले क्लाइन्ट्स इमिग्रेन्ट्सहरूले फेस गरिरहेको कस्तो खालको धेरै केसहरू तपाईँहरूले लिइराख्नु भएको छ?
हजुर. प्राय गरेर हाम्रोमा आउने क्लाइन्ट्सहरू they've come because they're already in a tricky situation. अनि म्याटर्सहरू चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ भन्दा अब जस्तै हामीले क्यान्सरको स्टेज 1, स्टेज 2, स्टेज 3 कुरा गर्छौँ नि. स्टेज 2 अथवा स्टेज 3 मा पुगेको मान्छेहरू आउनुहुन्छ. अनि उहाँहरूको अब कमन सिचुएसन जस्तै बोगस डकुमेन्ट्स भयो होइन. अब कुनै पनि अब PIC 4020 भन्छ होइन, पब्लिक इन्ट्रेस्ट. हजुर, सिम्पल टर्ममा भन्दा चाहिँ एभ्री भिजा हेज डिफ्रेन्ट क्राइटेरिया यु निड टु मिट. अनि एउटा चाहिँ PIC 4020 भन्छ. इट इज क्वाइट ब्रोड. त्यसमा चाहिँ इफ यु मिसलिड द डिपार्टमेन्ट होइन विथ इन्फर्मेसन or with documents भनेको misleading documents, the department can consider either refusing or प्राय गरेर चाहिँ cancelling. अनि usually चाहिँ if you cannot justify, so if there was a misleading information, the department will cancel your visa. visa cancel bhayepachi the consequences that come out of it are quite serious. You'll be limited from applying other visa subclasses. You will lose your you'll be unlawful for briefly unless you immediately apply for appeal or apply for bridging visa. And it's very stressful because once your visa is cancelled, you go through a review process. You might have a prospect, or you might not, depending on what the material in particular was.
Okay. So when you say about like the bogus documents,
हजुर.
right? The misleading documents, भनौँ न. So I'm pretty sure the student normally uses agent, right, to apply for any kind of visa.
हजुर.
So त्यतिखेर अब आफूले गरेर मिसलिडिङ डकुमेन्ट्स राख्नु भनेको त इट्स कम्प्लिटली देयर फल्ट. तर हेभ यु इन्काउन्टर्ड एजेन्टको थ्रुबाट पनि मिसलिडिङ डकुमेन्ट्सहरू गइरहेको? सो विदाउट स्टुडेन्ट्सहरूको फल्ट, विदाउट स्टुडेन्ट्सको अवेरनेसहरू त्यो जस्तै हुन्छ नि, किनकि मान्छेहरूलाई डकुमेन्ट्सहरू सिम्प्लियर गर्न नै एजेन्टहरू राखेको हो नि त.
हजुर.
त्यसपछि पनि फल्ट भएको छ र त्यस्तरी?
हुन्छ, किनकि when you appoint agent or a migration agent or a lawyer and you sign form 956, your agent is acting as you. Okay, so you need to do due diligence.
Yep.
For example, an agent will provide you a document checklist. It is your duty to provide the documents.
100%.
You'll only have a case where the agent actually makes the document without you not knowing. But if you provide any document and that document is what the department has concern with, then it doesn't matter that the agent did not, remove that document. It is your duty to do due diligence भन्छ हैन. आफू पहिला केयरफुल भएर हैन, आफूले के डकुमेन्ट नेपालबाट मगाउँदैछ त्यो डकुमेन्ट रियल हो कि हैन. अनि युजुअली मेनी केसेसमा क्लाइन्टलाई थाहा हुन्छ हैन. इट्स नट अ सिक्रेट हैन, because
So they are aware.
Most cases they know. Okay. Sometimes there is I've seen some cases where offshore bata aउँदा फेरि चाहिँ they've relied heavily on a consultancy, for example. Ani certain documents or they don't know the nature of the document. Ani consultancy le चाहिँ भइहाल्छ भन्ने हिसाबले they add those documents. You might even get a student visa. You might even come here. There's somewhere down the line the department picks it up. Because anything that goes to the department doesn't disappear. It stays there. Until you are Australian citizen, there are different stages where they can pick it up.
Okay. Thank you so much for explaining that. So now अहिलेकै क्वेसनमा आउँदाखेरि मैले चाहिँ, if I have to go a little bit deeper.
हजुर.
So as an immigration lawyer, how do you help them? So people already stage 2 को एन्सरमा छ, already इमिग्रेसनलाई थाहा भइसक्यो, फेक डकुमेन्ट्स already uploaded छ भनेर हैन. As an immigration lawyer, how do you help them?
अब त्यसमा see, this is the fun part of law हैन. Law चाहिँ black and white हुन्छ भन्छन् कसैले, but I think there is always a gray area हैन. We work on the gray area because if a client has a situation, compelling and compassionate circumstances or something beyond their control, भनेको उनीहरूको हातमा थिएन पनि, there's always and you can argue ट्राइब्युनलमा अथवा पछि फेडरल कोर्टमा. फेडरल कोर्ट भन्दा पनि प्राय गरेर ट्राइब्युनलमा हुन्छ. ट्राइब्युनलमा you can argue that if this client is refused, the outcome will be unjust or unfair, or if it is not in the public interest of Australia to refuse this person. Sometimes के हुन्छ भन्दा certain documents wrong अथवा misinformation भए पनि, if that misinformation is not material in particular भन्न खोजेको, त्यसले चाहिँ त्यो भिजाको आउटकम चाहिँ चेन्ज गर्दैन हैन. इभन इफ त्यो डकुमेन्ट राखेर पनि त्यसले केही थपेन हैन, त्यो नभएको भए पनि उसले भिजा पाउँथ्यो भने चाहिँ we can argue that this person deserves to get a visa.
Okay, that's good. So just in case त्यो डकुमेन्टले चाहिँ इम्प्याक्ट पार्थ्यो भिजाको आउटकम, सो त्यसमा चाहिँ उसको चान्सेस चाहिँ के हुन्छ? अब
त्यसमा चाहिँ अब then it becomes a bit harder, but as I said, compelling and compassionate is very broad, and every case is different. So that is why we normally encourage clients. Sometimes clients will call us, and they say, can you tell me if I have a chance or not? And my staff or myself, we will say, let's have a consultation, because over a 5-minute conversation, it is not easy to determine whether that person has a case or not.
Yeah.
So we do a thorough consultation. We ask about questions, from when they first applied for a visa, circumstances that were happening in their life. And त्यो गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ we determine whether they have a case or not. And then we will tell them, you have a case, we can fight this.
Yep.
And even when we say we fight this, we never guarantee a client an outcome. If there is a lawyer who guarantees you an outcome, that's wrong, that's unlawful. Okay, there is always that possibility. We what we do is we maximize the chance of approval or success. We do not guarantee. That is up to the decision maker. The decision maker is either the department or the tribunal member or the federal court judge.
Thank you very much. Now, immigration lawyer,
हजुर,
हैन, माधव खरेल जी, you are an immigration lawyer. So म immigration को पार्टमा जान्छु. So तर त्यो पार्ट जानुभन्दा अगाडि चाहिँ why did you choose immigration as your major?
It was actually not my major, to be honest. But at the same time, I have this philosophy. Okay? No matter how tall the tree grows, it's never far from its roots. Where did I come from? Who am I? These are questions you need to ask yourself before you have, you define your career, what your future will look like. Because I'm a son of a migrant, I am a migrant, I've gone through the process. There are many areas of law for me because this was an area which I was affected by or I had sought assistance with. And I felt like, being the first generation lawyer, हाम्रो community, again, going back to the roots, I can go out and assist clients from other community. But I think if I stick with my roots, I will build a foundation, which is short term, it's hard to see, but in the long term, the second generation lawyers maybe do not have to be an immigration lawyer, right? So immigration was one, I want to help people. किनकि हाम्रो नेपाली कम्युनिटीमा सबैभन्दा पहिला र मोस्टलाई एफेक्ट हुने कुरा इमिग्रेसन हुन्छ. It starts from immigration. Property matters or other matters come after immigration. They have to immigrate here before they have those other issues. So I wanted to help them with the matter that affects them the most. And with immigration, other stuff are related. A person migrating can also have a divorce issue.
True.
A person migrating might be a PR now, wants to buy a house, that's a property matter. It all starts with immigration.
100%. And I think हाम्रो कम्युनिटीलाई सबभन्दा एकदमै चाहिने पनि इमिग्रेसनकै एरियातिर नै हो. Means legal
Exactly.
consultation.
And I would just like to add on this, because as I was, even when I was in law school, I think later on there were some senior respected daiharu, but even when I had started my law degree, there was actually no Nepali lawyer based in Victoria. So zero.
Wow.
Okay. A lot of time for a complicated matter, people had to go to an agent from other community. Even for those who are educated, there were some problems understanding law, because even if you know English, it is hard to understand the language of law.
True.
And imagine for someone who does not know English, much harder. So I think I wanted to fill that void because I knew that there was a void. There were education counselors, there were migration agents, but migration lawyer ko lagi चाहिँ even migration agents were recommending community from other South Asian countries, lawyers from other South Asian countries. And I think having a Nepali lawyer who speaks the language, who understands the context in which they have that issue, and I see that in my clients' eyes, and they actually tell us that. They tell us that we're very thankful that we have a Nepali lawyer to go to. I guess as the time goes by, there'll be more of us, and then maybe the new generation can start filling the other voids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's really nice. Thank you very much. किनकि even I can feel कस्तो अब जस्तै for example we're in the same industry and not exactly same तर almost similar. अनि just like you said, Nepali people, they cannot express exactly in English how they do it in Nepali.
Exactly.
कति कुराहरू legal termsहरू बुझ्दा पनि बुझ्दैन अनि तपाईँ अहिले अरू respected दाइहरू हुनुहुन्छ हैन. So त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हाम्रो नेपाली क्लाइन्ट्सहरूलाई चाहिँ एकदम सजिलो भएको छ to make a decision efficiently. So त्यसको लागि चाहिँ thank you very much.
No problem.
Now, so अब तपाईँले migration agents को कुरा निकालि नै हाल्नु भयो. So we can see there's a lot of migration agents हैन नेपाली Nepalese origin. तर Nepalese lawyers चाहिँ few छ. अनि जहिले पनि कन्फ्युजन चाहिँ भइ नै रहेको हुन्छ. अब हामीलाई थाहा छ बिकज लाइक हुन्छ नि हामी यो इन्डस्ट्रीमा अलिकति काम गरेको कारणले गर्दाखेरि माइग्रेसन कम्पनीकोमा काम गरेको कारणले. तर अझै पनि हाम्रो नर्मल जेनरल अडियन्सहरूलाई होइन युथहरूलाई स्टिल पनि थाहा छैन कि वाट माइग्रेसन एजेन्ट्स क्यान नट डु द्याट लयर क्यान डु होइन डु यु माइन्ड एजुकेटिङ देम अ लिटल बिट हुन्छ नि कुन बेलामा चाहिँ माइग्रेसन एजेन्ट्स जाने र कुन बेलामा चाहिँ माइग्रेसन एजेन्ट्स होइन कि माइग्रेसन लयर सिक गर्ने
There is a lot of similarities with migration agent and migration lawyers. I think this particular occupation of migration agent was basically made because I don't think there are enough lawyers to fill the demand. The similarities are migration agents can do almost all the visas. They can do almost everything. But I think it comes down to migration. Let's say somebody comes to you for a visa matter, and now they're concerned that they're thinking of separating with their partner. Okay, migration agents limitation starts there. Okay, because now there is a barrier. They cannot give a legal advice on divorce because they can only give advice on migration. Okay, even with migration, for example, for judicial review. A lawyer needs to go to the court. You can have a migration agent represent you, but not as your lawyer because they're not a lawyer. Okay, and the other thing is, I think the other thing, I've seen some great migration agents, but at the same times, I do see sometimes some migration agent. This is not everyone. They lack. Going outside the box, right? So when it comes to, I was talking about those appeals, submissions, because I've seen a lot of submissions made by migration agents to the ART, for example, it used to be AAT, the tribunal, and they do not go into that depth because it's not their fault. They haven't been taught. To be a migration agent, you do a 12-month course, and then you do a capstone exam, and you become a migration agent. To become a lawyer, there are so many, one at minimum 3 years, and plus, practical legal training, plus 2 years of supervision. So by that time, your writing ability, your ability to think outside the box is much, much better. So if it's a very complicated case, or if there are things in your case which are not, just normal visa application, I think that is when you need a migration lawyer. Because a migration lawyer can read cases better. Migration lawyers can provide submission and articulate that to a member, for example, a tribunal member, because a tribunal member usually is either a lawyer themselves or with some legal background. Sometimes they can even be magistrate judge. So they can see when they read the submission whether it's by a migration agent or a migration lawyer.
Okay, thank you. Well explained. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Now, let's go deep down to इमिग्रेसन
है
आई थिङ्क कतिजना हाम्रो अडियन्सहरूलाई इमिग्रेसन्सहरूको बारेमा थाहा पाउनु मन छ होइन सो अहिले अस्ट्रेलियामा चाहिँ होइन सिन्स लास्ट फ्यु डिकेड्स वी क्यान सी अझ यसको हिस्ट्रीको कुरा त नगरौँ होइन बिर्सिनै दिन
हजुर तर
हुन्छ नि लास्ट फ्यु डिकेड्सदेखि हामी देख्न सक्छौँ कि देयर इज अ लट अफ इमिग्रेन्ट्स इन्टरनेसनल स्टुडेन्ट्स एकदम लार्जेस्ट स्केलमा बोलाइरहेको छ अस्ट्रेलियाले
हजुर
सो एज बिङ अ इमिग्रेसन लयर
हजुर
वाट्स योर टेक अन दिस
I think this is very common in Western countries. Australia is still fairly a new country. And for the economy to grow, the population needs to grow. The birth rate among Australians is quite low. And the demand there is for services in Australia cannot be filled by just Australians. So the migrants are core part of what makes in Australia. For example, in a lot of third world countries, or we call it global south, the birth rate is not an issue, but it is an issue in Western countries. So if you want the economy to continue to grow, you need to have production and services, and people needs to be spending money. And if you are limited by what population you have here and it's growing very slowly, then your economy, the country's GDP will stagnate, which means it will not grow. I'm not an economic expert, but I think that is one of the main reasons. Okay. And as the world becomes more globalized, right, and because of social media and the new technologies, the world has become much more smaller.
True.
and to keep up with the other Western countries like America, UK, Australia has to follow suit. It's it's almost like survival of the fittest, and you need the immigrants to survive, and as a country. So I think immigrants are very important, and then the Australian government knows that, and I think in the last 3 decades they have really, really the intake of immigrants has gone up,
Yeah.
and the type of immigrants that come here has also diversified, and with that comes issues which I guess is it's natural when you have a certain society that looks a certain way, that has a certain culture, and then you have this melting pot of different cultures, and then sometimes there can be some upsetting factor, but overall I think Australia has done well with its immigration, and I think they will continue to have people come here.
Okay, cool. Thank you for your answer. Now, let's talk about recent immigration policies. We know Australia always keep on changing its policies. एकदम fluctuate हुन्छ हैन compared to other nationalities. So अहिलेको लागि चाहिँ recently I think so many of our audience, they are very youth हैन, international students in Australia as well. अहिलेको immigration policies चाहिँ recent changes चाहिँ के आउँदैछ र के भर्खरै recently change भएको छ. If you can just explain that.
Yes, there has been some drastic changes. Last year, when the current government published its migration strategy, they had an outlook for what the migration should look like in the next 10 years or 15 years, and there are some drastic changes because, as I was saying before, as the migration intake increases, the makeup of the country changes, and the demands also change. So a lot of migrants that came here 30 years ago, they might be employed in a particular sector, and their children are not, there is no guarantee that they will be employed in the same sector. So the landscape is always changing. The global demands are always changing, and there are global events, outside people's or the government's control, just like COVID pandemic, that showed us, for example, we were not prepared. We did not have enough nurses. We did not have enough carers. And so keeping that in mind, at the same times, everybody's talking about the climate change and trying to, promote electric vehicles, green energy. So the kinds of occupation that will be in demand in the next 10, 15 years will be different to what they are in right now. Right? So, for example, the focus in IT sector. So 30 years ago, I do not think IT sector would have, have an impact that it is having today.
Exactly.
So I think that is the main reason behind this. And these changes that are being made are, if you go back, it all goes down to the migration strategy 2023. And this is where Australia wants to keep up with the demand of the critical sectors. At the same time, they want to have highly skilled workers as opposed to low skilled workers.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Now, capping system.
Yeah,
we've been hearing about it since last couple of months. But recently something happened. So probably मान्छेले good news पनि भनिराख्नु भएको छ, तर अझै पनि clarity आएको छैन हैन normal audience को लागि. सो एक्चुअली मलाई क्यापिङ सिस्टमको बारेमा चाहिँ होइन, क्यापिङ सिस्टम चाहिँ यो आइडिया चाहिँ कहाँबाट आयो र किन आयो, एक्चुअली एक्सप्लेन गरिदिनुहुन्छ ब्रिफली.
Yeah. So post-pandemic, because during pandemic, a lot of people had gone back to their home country, and so there was a reduction in migration. Post-pandemic, as things opened up, the intake of migration went very high, and I think so high that it was more than pre-pandemic.
True.
And then that and because of the symptoms of pandemics, the Australian economy, especially in the housing sector, really struggling. When there's more people, there's more demand for housing, including rentals and buying. So I think the government realized that the number of international students they were taking every year was not sustainable, because it's also looking after the Australians as well as the international students. because they do not want these international students come here and line up to find an accommodation. They need to have that infrastructure first before they can invite these large numbers of people. I think the other thing is also public sentiment, because the global economy is going up and down. Things are getting more expensive. The interest rate is high. There's inflation, so there is a bit of a resentment towards the high intake of immigrants, and I think the government realizes that, and they want to reduce the numbers. So the current government had proposed a cap, and as you said before, that has now been blocked by the Senate.
So it's been blocked, totally blocked.
It's blocked, yes. So I think it's interesting to see what happens next. But right now, without the support of the Liberals and the Green Party in the Senate, I do not see this passing.
Okay, cool, no problem. Thank you very much for your insights. So now, just in case, if it gets implemented, do you think it will really impact international students and their families? Or even the businesses that is involved nearby the international students?
I think it will. It will, because look, the most affected would be, let's talk about Australia. It will be the universities and colleges,
100%.
right? The big portion of the income for these institutions are by international students, and I think they've made it very public that they're not happy with the proposal of cutting down international students. In terms of businesses, people working in this sector, migration agents, education counselors, obviously the reduction of number of students would mean that there are less students, and there's that will obviously decrease the revenue.
Yeah, definitely. All right, thank you very much. And my another question would be, lately, we have seen, like you've already mentioned, one of the major consequences as well. If the international students goes number really high, then there will be a problem in the infrastructures and stuff like that. But in 2022, post-pandemic, they brought almost 600,000 international students, new one.
Yep.
Right? If I'm not wrong. 2023, the numbers were pretty much similar. But in 2024, I don't know what happened, but the number has gone down to very, very minimum, right? Do you think housing infrastructures are the only problem?
Look,
for that, decisions or whatever numbers?
Look, I don't think international students are the only reason why there is a housing crisis in Australia. There could be one of the reasons. I don't want to go deep into this, but I think it's all politics.
I would
right?
just need the insights.
Yeah, I do think it's politics. We're close to election, and and we have to look at what's happening around the world. Trump recently won an election on an anti-migration agenda, and usually it is a common thread that closer to elections the government tend to be more stricter on migration intake, so that when they can go back to their communities and they can say look, we're tough on migration, and tough on migration is good for votes.
Yeah, so okay, thank you very much. Now let's go to our community, Nepal. हुन्छ नि, म नेपाल र इमिग्रेसनलाई जोड्छु है. सो हाम्रो नेपाली अडियन्सहरू पनि धेरै हुनुहुन्छ, सो त्यसैले गर्दाखेरि I'm pretty sure they want to know. So third largest international student source, being very, very small country.
Yeah.
Isn't that really amazing?
Yeah, impressive.
Yeah. So why do you think हुन्छ नि नेपालमा चाहिँ नेपाललाई चाहिँ यति धेरै इमिग्रेसनले माया गर्नुको रिजन चाहिँ के छ होला?
I don't know if it's Maya or it is there are more people wanting to leave Nepal. Right?
Yeah, true.
I think the brain drain is real, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, migration has always happened since the start of time. People always look for better opportunities.
Yeah.
And given our education system in Nepal, it helps Australian government to also grant visas to Nepalese, because we do study English in Nepal, and the schooling system, despite the situation in the country, I think in Nepal is pretty good, and the Australian government recognizes that.
Thank you very much. Now, so अहिले चाहिँ के भइरहेछ भन्दाखेरि we can see there's a huge visa refusals.
Yeah.
हैन, तपाईको not only नेपालमा मात्र, offshore कुनै पनि कन्ट्रीजहरुमा पनि, हैन. So plus अहिले कम्पेयर टु लास्ट इयर होइन 2022मा त हामीले देख्यौँ पनि होइन टु बी अनफिल्टर्ड डिप्लोमामा पनि भिजा आइरहेको थियो 35 इयर्स 37 इयर्स हु इज जिन्युन स्टुडेन्ट हुँदै होइन होइन देखिरहेको छौँ हामीले पकाबक भिजा आइरहेको थियो डिप्लोमा कोर्सेसहरूमा पनि अहिले यस्तो कन्ट्रास्ट भइदियो कि सिचुएसन विदिन 1.5 इयर 2 इयर्स अहिले एकदम जिन्युन स्टुडेन्ट्सलाई पनि भिजा लाग्न एकदम गाह्रो छ डकुमेन्ट्सको रिक्वायरमेन्ट फाइनेन्सियल रिक्वायरमेन्ट्सहरू पनि एकदम बढाइदिएको छ होइन 1 इयरको स्टेटमेन्टहरू मागिरहेको छ सो वाइ यो के अगेन इलेक्सनकै लागि मात्रै हो त
when I say election, it is one of the things, but it's also about the sentiments of the people, Australian people. Unfortunately, it is very unfortunate that there are a lot of genuine students that are being refused. But if the government's intention is to reduce the migration intake, right, they cannot, reduce it by saying, because what if there is a lot of genuine students, 1 million genuine students, they cannot approve 1 million genuine students. 100%. So unfortunately, they've become the victim of the current government's policy, which is to reduce the migration intake.
Yes. Sorry, Madhab bro. On the same side, पहिला there used to be a lot of applicants too. होइन अहिले तपाईँको लजमेन्ट एप्लिकेसन्सहरू हेऱ्यो भने पनि इट हेज गन डाउन कतिजना त त्यो प्रिरिक्विजिटमै फालिन्छ होइन प्रोभाब्ली 2022-2023को कम्पेरिजनमा आई थिङ्क अहिले 70% त लजमेन्टमै ड्रप भइसक्यो
हजुर
सो त्यो 30%मा पनि आई थिङ्क अहिले 50% त रिजेक्सन नै छ इफ आम नट रङ होइन आम सो सरी मेरो डाटा करेक्ट छैन होला तर त्यो रेसियोमा लगभग कम भइसक्यो सो अहिले त्यस्तरी घटाउनु पर्ने जरुरी कतै देखिन्छ र हामीले किन देखिन्छ तपाईँको experience, thoughts on that?
I think, look, what you've just said, that the number of people lodging the application has gone down. I think the government's policy is working because that is called deterrence.
Okay.
So by refusing high number of people, they're telling others who are thinking of applying, there's a high risk. Okay, but in terms of why they're cutting, look, I can't answer. It could be election.
Yeah.
But it could be other stuff. Again, the housing crisis.
Yeah.
Inflation is very high. The cost of living has gone up. So I think there is no one straight answer.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. Is it going to get better in future? Do you see from your position right now, just from your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we can always
anytime soon.
I mean, yeah, we can be positive. We've seen this happen before. We've seen tough times in the immigration industry, and we've seen them, change.
Okay.
So things will always change. The government will change. The people's perception will change. If the inflation comes down and the housing crisis, is fixed, then then the needs of the Australian community and the Australia as a country will change. Okay. So I think it's a always ever-changing industry.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. So now, तपाईँको विचारमा, according to your opinion, what's the impression of Australian immigration towards Nepalese community, towards Nepalese students?
When you say Australian immigration, you mean the department or the government?
Department.
Okay. I think, look, largely it's good. Okay. But there have been some concerns about Nepal being one of the top countries in terms of providing, fake and false documents. And I think that is also leading to high refusals. It is so easy in Nepal to make documents, which are not true, which is very unfortunate. But what that does is that also affects people who are providing genuine documents. I think, look, overall it's good, but they have some concerns about, a lot of people trying to come here and in their desperate attempt, doing things which they shouldn't be doing.
Thank you very much. I've got heaps of questions, to be very honest, but on the same side, just because I have a time limitations, I'll just skip this part. Like, I'll ask for the advices later.
Yep.
Just in case, guys, if you have any questions regarding your immigrations or your PRs or your visas and stuff like that, you can always go to Madhab Kharel and, book a consultation and go deep down into it. But now it's not about his business, only about professionalism. We wanted to hear about more thoughts about his opinion on so many things. That's the reason we have to limit it. Now let's go to divorce. Right? अर्को मैले देखेको चाहिँ divorce rates. Right? I don't know why मैले अस्ति हाम्रो पहिला एक्चुअली अर्को एपिसोडमा हाम्रो लयर आउँदा पनि हाम्रो कुरा गरेको थियो डिभोर्सको चाहिँ
हजुर
मैले चाहिँ नेपालिज कपलको चाहिँ
हजुर।
डिभोर्स रेट चाहिँ अस्ट्रेलियामा चाहिँ एकदम हाई देखेँ कम्पेयर टु द कपल्स हु आर लिभिङ इन नेपाल
हजुर
है सो इज द्याट ट्रु
I-
तपाईँको
I
opinion
think it's more prevalent here. I think we notice it more.
है
Yeah, I think it is much more common here than
Yeah.
it would be if it were in Nepal. Yes,
why do you think what's the main cause of this
it is a very complicated thing. But at the same times, I think in Nepal there are certain systems in place which are something you cannot see. Okay, the systems are rules and traditions that have been passed on for generations, and it's
Yeah.
also about the society, because हाम्रो नेपाली कम्युनिटीमा सोसाइटीले के भन्छ, it's a very big thing. When someone comes to Australia as a couple, I think that सोसाइटीले के भन्छ अथवा त्यो जुन ट्रेडिसन नेपालमा बााउन्ड्रिजहरू हुन्छ त्यो अलि गेट्स ओपन. सो आई डोन्ट थिङ्क इट्स नट द्याट नेपालमा यो प्रब्लमहरू हुँदैन. नेपालमा चाहिँ त्यो दबाएर राखेको प्रब्लमहरू चाहिँ यहाँ आउँदा एक्सपोज हुन्छ. सो इट्स लाइक
राम्रो पनि हो त्यो
yes, I think there is a positive side too, because I do think that even in Nepal there are a lot of unhappy couples who are together not by their wish, because they're scared about what the society will think, what their friends will think, how they will be treated, and there are other financial reasons as well. When people come to Australia, both men and women, they both earn, they all have their financial agency, they have their own standing. In Nepal, for instance, it is very unfortunate, but the employment ratio between the men and women is drastically different. So a lot less women work in Nepal. So what that means is they're dependent on the men. Which means, there's this fear that if I were to divorce, I'll be on my own. And because, the society will, the way the patriarchal society in Nepal is, I'll be blamed, and maybe I won't get a job. So out of that fear, that the conversation of divorce is something that does not usually come in mind. Whereas when they come to Australia, I think that thing changes, because both are financially dependent, and I think over time, as they spend time together, their priorities change, and because in Australia everyone works, and sometimes I think it's the time that they cannot spend together also leads to misunderstanding between couples. That's one category. There's another category where, unfortunately, very young, couples, they've been married before coming to Australia. Some of them are, very young. Some now, I think in Nepal they've changed the rule where you have to be 20 years to
21.
register. But I've seen it in the past. 18 years old getting married. And coming here, when you're 18, I think you haven't had a chance to understand what a relationship is. Right, the man or a woman you're marrying might be the first, a date or partner you ever had, and then coming to Australia, being exposed to the culture here, and I think that has a big influence on how the couple see. Sometimes they feel like maybe they were not made for each other, and which is not a wrong thing. I do say that if you're not happy in a relationship, it is not a sin to separate. But I always recommend, when couples separate, they do in mutual understanding, because the impact of that, in the long term, it'll be good for both of you.
Cool, thank you. What do you think, what's the most common challenges while going through a divorce? Legally?
I think for Nepali, before legally, I think it is getting to that conversation of having a divorce, right? Because I think it's like a taboo subject. So you're married because there are so many cultural things. How will we talk to our parents? How will we explain to them? The legal challenges is basically not understanding. So Nepalमा चाहिँ कसुर देखाउनु पर्ने हुन्छ. So fault divorce छ. अस्ट्रेलियामा चाहिँ there is a no fault divorce. अनि I think अर्को misconception चाहिँ you can just apply for a divorce and you get a divorce. त्यसो हुँदैन. In Australia you have to be separated for 12 months. So I think even in Australia they give you an opportunity. So 12 महिना भित्रमा if you can get together, अनि divorce जानु परेन नि त. And I think that is why there is that requirement.
Okay.
अर्को कुरा चाहिँ if let's say you've been married for less than 2 years, you need to go and see a counselor, and the counselor has to give a certificate which you then use as evidence when you apply for a divorce.
Okay.
And another thing is divorce is done by a lawyer, and it is encouraged that you seek a lawyer's help.
ओके थ्याङ्क यू भेरी मच मलाई ठ्याक्कै तपाईँले त्यो भन्ने बित्तिकै मलाई एकजना लयर हुनुहुन्छ क्या हाम्रो नेपाली कम्युनिटीकै लाइफ इज सोर्ट गेट अ डिभोर्स भन्नुहुन्छ कि उहाँको मोटो नै उहाँसँग एकदमै धेरै डिभोर्स क्लाइन्ट्सहरू आउँछु भन्दै हुनुहुन्थ्यो होइन डु यु थिङ्क इज द्याट मोरली जस्ट तपाईँको ओपिनियन मात्र आम नट सेयिङ लाइक हुन्छ नि वाट इज राइट वाट इज रङ डु यु थिङ्क इट्स गुड त्यो हुन्छ नि लाइफ इज सोर्ट गेट अ डिभोर्स भन्दै आफूलाई प्रमोट गर्नु मोरली
Look, I can't comment on that particular lawyer's thing, but what I can say is I would not personally do that.
Exactly.
I would not say life is short, get a divorce, because if somebody needs a divorce, our job is to educate that we are against family violence. So if there is a family violence, you should seek help. You should see a counselor and maybe learn about you don't want to stay in a relationship where there is family violence, but we do not want to make a divorce a fashionable thing, right? Because that can have a detrimental effect, and I'm talking from the perspective of a Nepali community.
Yep.
But in saying that, look, a lot of time the clients that come to us, they've already been through, they've already had this conversation, or they've had enough, and they're in a position where they come to us for a conclusion.
Okay. After they make a decision.
Yeah, the climax बाट गइसकेको हुन्छ प्राय गरेर. They just want a conclusion. A conclusion is a formal ending of the relationship, which is divorce.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, just एउटा क्वेसन पनि मलाई एउटा फाइनेन्सियल अग्रिमेन्ट भयो भने चाहिँ रिलेसनसिपमा चाहिँ त्यसले गर्दा फेरि एसेट्सहरूलाई चाहिँ प्रोटेक्ट गर्न मिल्छ अरे क्या.
हजुर.
सो यो चाहिँ आइ एम नट क्लियर अन दिस. कतिजना हामीले सुनेको पनि छौँ. सो आज चाहिँ तपाईँले एक्चुली भ्यालिडेट गरिदिन सक्नुहुन्छ किनकि दे माइट बी फियर क्या कतिजना केटाकेटीहरूको चाहिँ आफ्टर डिभोर्स ला प्रपर्टी के हुने हो त्यसले गर्दा पनि स्पेसली मेलमा चाहिँ यो एकदम फियर चाहिँ छ क्या.
हजुर.
सो यो कुराहरूमा चाहिँ एक्चुली भनिदिनु फाइनेन्सियल अग्रिमेन्ट भन्ने चाहिँ के हो, हाउ डज दिस वर्क?
हजुर, तपाईँ कमनली सुन्दाखेरि चाहिँ मुभिजहरूमा अथवा कमनली सुनिहालेको प्रिनप पोस्टनप भन्ने सुन्नुहुन्छ होइन. प्रिनप भनेको चाहिँ बिफोर म्यारिज, एन्ड पोस्टनप इज ड्युरिङ म्यारिज or after marriage you can have. And so these agreements are basically to protect your asset in an event where there is a breakdown of relationship. Having this agreement in place will ensure there is transparency about when if you do decide to separate, how you will separate. A lot of time, a lot of couples spends a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy going to court day in day out because they don't have such agreement in place. So the agreement protects you from basically what you can outline. You can outline anything. So you can say, for example, this house that I earn will be on my name, and that house will be on your name. Or you can have my super will be distributed in this way. But it gets a bit more complicated when you have a child. And that is why it is important to regularly update your agreement, because if there is a child and you had this agreement before the child, then there will be provisions where in the best interest of the child, the court can order, court can make an order which you might not have contemplated.
Okay.
So where you might have to give some of your property.
So this is kind of very weird as हाम्रो नेपाली कम्युनिटीको लागि चाहिँ होइन, किनकि अब कतिजना हाम्रो वेस्टर्न कन्ट्रिजको कपल्सहरू त दे आर भेरी प्र्याक्टिकल होला, उनीहरूको लागि डिभोर्स एउटा भनौँ न एउटा देखिरहेको कुराहरू होला होइन. तर यो नेपाली कम्युनिटीमा हुन त अफकोर्स डेफिनेटली नै यो प्र्याक्टिकल भएर नै ल बनाएको हो होइन. तर नेपाली कपल्समा यो प्र्याक्टिकल छ त ल, अब किनकि त्यो अग्रिमेन्ट गर्ने बित्तिकै छुट्टिन्छ भनेर सोध्छ नि त.
हजुर हजुर.
सो अहिले कस्तो देख्नु भएको छ कुनै केही कुरा यो नेपाली कपल्सहरूमा?
I've seen some cases होइन मेरोमा पनि. I've had some cases, and like you say, I think it is very difficult in हाम्रो कम्युनिटीमा चाहिँ त्यो I don't know हामी त्यो लेभलमा चाहिँ I think it will take us some time होइन. I think हाम्रोमा marriage is so sacred के, that to talk about even contemplating that there might be a separation, we need to have an agreement. त्यो स्टेजमा चाहिँ जानै चाहदैन. But at the same time, in saying that जस्तै हामीले सर्टन कुराहरू फ्युचरको लागि गर्छौँ नि इन्सुरेन्स लिन्छौँ होइन वाइ वी गेट ए इन्सुरेन्स लाइफ इन्सुरेन्स कि लाइफ इन्सुरेन्स लिने भन्दैमा तपाईँ भोलि नै कार एक्सिडेन्टमा मर्नुहुन्छ त हुँदैन नि त this is also an insurance because you don't know and you do see people around you. If it was not that uncommon, why would you keep hearing about people getting divorced? It does happen. So this is an insurance where in the future it's actually good for both parties. It's not like one party will benefit more than the other. You can have that agreement in place where it mutually benefits both parties. So I think I recommend people, I know, if they're getting into a relationship, if they're getting in a marriage, to maybe consider, you don't have to consider, maybe seek a legal advice and learn, and then you decide whether you want to have it or not.
Thank you very much. एकदमै मिठो मिठो गफ भयो and thank you so much for your very very knowledgeable opinions, thoughts and everything like that. I think we'll take a very quick break.
Awesome.
We're almost at the very end. Anyways, guys, thank you so much. We'll just take a very quick commercial break. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. This podcast is presented by Maven Consulting Group. Reach out to them if you have any education and visa inquiry. Knowledge partner, Rees International College. They offer many courses such as aged care, commercial cookery, disability, early childhood, and many more. Supported by Capcom Home Loans, Australia's leading home loan specialist. Magic Momo Cafe, a perfect destination in Melbourne for an authentic Nepalese and Newari cuisines. Yatra The Connection, अस्ट्रेलियामा नेपालीहरूको लागि सबैभन्दा भरपर्दो ट्राभल कम्पनी. Many Films, your photography and videography partner to capture your perfect moment. 25 Hours, the marketing boost you need for your business. Welcome back viewers. So I hope तपाईले पनि म जस्तै एकदमै धेरै कुराहरू सिकिराख्नु भएको छ होला regarding Australian law, immigration policies and stuff like that. So let's continue this conversation. Anyways, Madhav bro, welcome back after break.
Thank you so much.
All right, कस्तो भइरहेछ त?
I'm really enjoying it actually.
Thank you very much. मलाई पनि एकदमै रमाइलो भइरहेछ. धेरै कुरा सिक्न पाइरहेछु.
हजुर.
Okay. Now, Madhav bro, I just wanted to go to a very new topic. हाम्रो Nepalese community को लागि चाहिँ यो एकदमै नयाँ conversation हुन सक्छ.
हजुर.
Regarding will.
हजुर.
नेपालमा त I think will को policies-हरु अझै पनि आएको छैन. Policies भन्नाले पनि अझै पनि त्यो trend देखेको छैनौ. तर there's already been a lot of generations who have quite been here for a long time. So त्यसैले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ let's talk about will. So will भनेको डकुमेन्ट चाहिँ के हो एक्चुअली बुझाइदिनुहुन्छ हाम्रो ऑडियन्सलाई?
हजुर. will भनेको नेपालीमा चाहिँ वसियत पत्र भन्छ. त्यो चाहिँ इनहेरिटेन्स ल हो. आई थिंक नेपालमा चाहिँ मोस्टली कस्टमरी ल हुन्छ. सो ट्रेडिसन्सहरू अनि कल्चरहरूलाई लिएर हुन्छ भने चाहिँ अस्ट्रेलियामा चाहिँ इट्स भेरी हाइली रेगुलेटेड एन्ड कोडिफाइड भनेको चाहिँ कानुनमा त्यसलाई राम्ररी त्यसलाई बुझाइदिएको छ. भनेपछि कानुन हेऱ्यो भने चाहिँ के हो भन्ने बुझ्न सकिन्छ. अनि यो चाहिँ यसको इम्पोर्टेन्स के छ भन्दा यो डकुमेन्टमा खास हजुरले चाहिँ अब आफ्नो प्रपर्टी आफ्टर यु पास अवे होइन कसरी डिस्ट्रिब्युट गर्ने, कसलाई डिस्ट्रिब्युट गर्ने, कसरी डिस्ट्रिब्युट गर्ने, अनि यसमा अरू कुराहरू पनि थप्न मिल्छ होइन. हाउ डु यु वान्ट यो फ्युनरल होइन. आफू मरेर गएपछि जस्तै अब इफ युआर हिन्दू होइन यु वान्ट आफ्नो बडीलाई कसरी हुन्छ नि लास्ट राइट्स कम्प्लिट गर्ने. अथवा इफ यु हेभ लेट्स से माइनर चिल्ड्रेन एन्ड युआर अ एज्ड प्यारेन्ट अर यु हेभ अ हेल्थ कन्डिसन त्यसको गार्जियन कसलाई नोमिनेट गर्ने होइन त्यो कुराहरू चाहिँ यो विल भन्ने डकुमेन्टमा हुन्छ.
ओके. सो नेपालमा त युजुअली एउटा कन्सेप्ट नै छ होइन आफ्नो सबै सम्पत्ति स्पेशली छोराहरूलाई जान्छ होइन अनि हाउ दे डिस्ट्रिब्युट इट्स अ म्याटर अफ डिबेट.
हजुर.
तर अस्ट्रेलियामा डु यु सी एनी डिफरेन्ट ट्रेन्ड्स?
अस्ट्रेलियामा यस्तो हुन्छ. सो इफ यु डोन्ट हेभ अ विल एन्ड यु पास अवे नर्मली चाहिँ कोर्टमा अप्लाई गर्न पाउँछ द फ्यामिली मेम्बर्स अफ द डिसिज्ड. अप्लाई गरिसकेपछि चाहिँ अब त्यसमा चाहिँ एउटा प्रायोरिटी लिस्ट जस्तो हुन्छ. सो इफ यु हेभ अ पार्टनर देन इट गोज टु द पार्टनर भनेको वाइफ अर हस्बेन्ड. And if you have a child and if your partner has also passed away होइन अनि child is remaining then त्यो childमा जान्छ. or if they are more than one children त्यसपछि चाहिँ इक्वली डिस्ट्रिब्युट हुनुपर्छ भन्ने प्रिन्सिपल छ.
ए ओके.
हजुर.
अलराइट.
इफ देयर इज नो विल होइन बट इफ देयर इज अ विल यु क्यान डिफाइन फर इक्जाम्पल सर्टन प्यारेन्ट्स माइट वान से कि मेरो जेठा छोरालाई यति पर्सेन्टेज जान्छ अथवा मेरो जेठी छोरीलाई यति जान्छ भनेर अनि त्यसको पनि त्यसको लिमिटेसन्सहरू हुन्छ सो एटलिस्ट 500,000 प्लस हुनुपर्छ इफ यु डोन्ट ह्याभ अ विल एन्ड फर यर फ्यामिली मेम्बर्स टु अप्लाई एन्ड गेट समथिङ आउट अफ इट
Okay. So there's a amount.
That's why it's beneficial if you have a will.
Okay, that's really nice. Thank you very much. Now, okay, अब हामीले धेरै लिगल कुराहरू गऱ्यौँ होइन डेफिनेटली एन्ड मलाई चाहिँ के लाग्छ भन्दाखेरि स्पेसली इन अस्ट्रेलिया एउटा अब मिसकन्सेप्सन भन्ने कि एउटा फ्याक्ट पनि हो होइन लयर्सको धेरै जस्तो मान्छेहरूले चाहिँ लिगल हेल्प चाहिँ सिक गर्दैन प्रोफेसनलसँग होइन हजुर जस्तो लयरसँग किनकि बिकज अफ द प्राइस बिकज अफ द फिज एन्ड स्टफ लाइक द्याट
हजुर
सो जस्ट इन केस कोही मान्छेलाई चाहिँ लिगल कन्सल्टेसन चाहिरहेछ लिगल हेल्प चाहिरहेछ भने चाहिँ होइन उसँग अमाउन्टहरू छैन त्यति तिर्नको लागि सम माइट बी भेरी भेरी ब्रोक सो कुनै अर्गनाइजेसन या कुनै लिगल सोर्सहरू छ जुनमा चाहिँ दे क्यान भिजिट विदाउट एनी कन्सल्टेसन इफ दे क्यान गेट अ लिटल बिट फाइनेन्सियल बेनिफिट्स
हजुर सो नर्मली चाहिँ एटलिस्ट कन्सल्टेसन गर्नुभयो भने कन्सल्टेसन फी धेरै हाई हुँदैन तपाईँलाई गाइडेन्स पनि पाउनुहुन्छ प्रपर गाइडेन्स कुनै पनि अब जस्तै तपाईँ डक्टरकोमा जानुभयो भने विदाउट देम ह्याभिङ अ प्रपर होइन अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ अबाउट यर सिम्टम्स एन्ड सिचुएसन दे क्यान नट डायग्नोज यु त्यस्तै पनि लोयर्सले चाहिँ फोन उठाउँदा बित्तिकै दे क्यान नट से कि एक्ज्याक्टली तपाईँको यो प्रब्लम हो यहाँ जानु भनेर तर ब्रिफली भन्दाखेरि अस्ट्रेलियामा राम्रो कुरा के छ भन्दा अलमोस्ट अल स्टेट ह्याभ लिगल एड होइन भिक्टोरियन लिगल एड छ अब इफ यु इन न्यू साउथ वेल्स त्यसको इक्विभलेन्ट छ लिगल एडले चाहिँ हजुरलाई फ्री अफ कस्ट हजुरलाई रिप्रेजेन्ट गर्नुहुन्छ नर्मली फर माइनर अफेन्सेस अर माइनर म्याटर्स जस्तै क्रिमिनल म्याटर हो भने एन्ड इफ युर अ भिक्टम द स्टेट विल एक्ट अन युर बिहाफ होइन सो नर्मली चाहिँ डिफेन्डेन्ट अर पर्पट्रेटर भन्छौँ नि दे विल निड टु सिक प्रोफेसनल हेल्प भिक्टमलाई चाहिँ क्रिमिनल म्याटर्समा स्टेटले रिप्रेजेन्ट गर्छ अरू म्याटर्सहरू छ जस्तै इभन फ्यामिली म्याटर्सहरू तपाईँले चाहिँ लिगल एडमा जानुभयो भने दे विल असेस यर सिचुएसन यर फाइनेन्सेस तिनीहरूको सर्टेन क्राइटेरिया हुन्छ सो इफ युर अर्निङ अ लट अफ मनी एन्ड देन यु गो टु लिगल एड दे माइट से नो बिकज द्याट सर्भिस इज फर पिपल हु आर फ्रम अ लोवर सोसियो इकोनोमिक ब्याकग्राउन्ड अर्को अप्सन भनेको चाहिँ इफ यु गो टु कम्युनिटी लिगल सेन्टर सिएलसी सो तपाईँको सबर्बको अराउन्ड दे सुड बी अ कम्युनिटी लिगल सेन्टर होइन नर्मली अब जस्तै मेलबर्न सिटीमा चाहिँ अलमोस्ट देयर आर 40-50 कम्युनिटी लिगल सेन्टर्स त्यहाँ जानुभयो भने चाहिँ फर मोटर भेहिकल एक्सिडेन्ट्स अथवा रोड इन्फ्रिन्जमेन्ट्स समरी अफेन्सेस त्यसको लागि चाहिँ कम्युनिटी लिगल सेन्टर्स विल प्रोभाइड यु फ्री लिगल सर्भिस
And that applies to international students too.
Everyone, yes.
Amazing. Thank you very much. So guys, आज हामीले धेरै नै हाम्रो माधवजीबाट धेरै नै लिगल एडभाइसेस लिगल ओपिनियन्सहरू लिएको छौँ सो एकचोटि अब हामी उहाँको लिगल सुटलाई एकैछिन साइडमा राख्दिउँ है अब लेट्स आई अल्सो वान हियर अबाउट योर एन्टरप्रेन्योरशिप जर्नी एज वेल किनकि राइट नाउ देयर इज अ लट अफ युथ हु इज अप्टिङ फर एन्टरप्रेन्योरशिप सो त्यसैले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ एन्ड नाउ you have just recently won 40 under 40 Business Elite Award as well. Right? Congratulations for that. I think he deserves a round of applause. यति कम entrepreneurship journey मा पनि तपाईले यस्तो गर्नुभयो हैन एकदम ठुलो अचिभमेन्ट हो सो नाउ what do you think like हुन्छ नि तपाईले you have worked under so many other legal firms as well. So what was the idea to open your own legal suit?
यसमा I think I was always entrepreneurial होइन मैले आई थिङ्क सुरुमा मैले पडकास्टमा भनेको थिएँ नि त जस्तै फर इक्जाम्पल इभन वान डिस्ट्रिब्युटिङ म्यागजिन मलाई त्यो म्यागजिन न्युज पेपर डिस्ट्रिब्युट गरेर what I enjoyed more than just the pay that I got from doing that hourly. I enjoyed trying to sell and convince people to buy things so I get a commission. One was the entrepreneurial the mindset पहिलेदेखि थियो. In terms of opening my own law firm, and after getting enough experience, what I've realized is being in the lead, I would do better, and I can customize and shape the services I provide in a way that I think will be much impactful for the community in large and Nepali community in particular. They were say I decided around 6 months ago to start my own firm. And so far so good.
Yeah, okay. Congratulations once again.
Thank you so much.
So तपाईले just my quick question हुन्छ नि जस्तै हामी चाहिँ अहिले एउटा सर्भिस बेस्ड बिजनेसमा छौँ हैन अनि त्यो माथि तपाईँ एउटा लिगल प्रोफेसन पनि हुन्छ.
हजुर.
सो बेसिकली सर्भिस बेस्ड बिजनेसहरूमा चाहिँ तपाईँले what do you see अहिलेसम्म 6 महिनाको जर्नीमा चाहिँ लाइक हुन्छ नि what are the challenges you found out?
हजुर. I think with any business comes challenges, especially service business. There are a lot of compliance. I think any service business, there are a lot of compliance because what we are selling or hamle jun service seva dinsum, त्यो सेवा चाहिँ it's not something you can see. It's not physical. So त्यसको लागि चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ it all comes down to our professionalism, हाम्रो honesty अनि people's faith in us. किनकि the service we provide can shape हाम्रो बोलीबाट हाम्रो वर्ड्सहरू can have a profound impact on someone's life. त्यही भएर चाहिँ त्यसमा due diligence हुनु हैन अनि to have the checks and balances in place to make sure that whatever service you're providing does not harm your customers. I think त्यो नै सबैभन्दा ठुलो challenge पनि हो, but at the same time opportunity पनि.
That's really nice. So now, how do you balance पहिला त तपाईँ just for example when you work in different forms,
हजुर.
so you were just a lawyer.
हजुर.
अहिले you're a businessman too. You
Yep.
have to take certain business decisions too
हजुर.
outside your legal profession.
हजुर.
So how do you balance it अहिले last 6 months मा?
Okay. There's this saying, अस्ट्रेलियामा आएर सिकेको मैले चाहिँ when I was in Australia कुरा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ which hat you're wearing भन्ने हुन्छ कि when you're a business owner you're wearing all the hats हैन. So त्यसमा मार्केटिङ हुन पायो हैन, स्टाफलाई कसरी लुक आफ्टर गर्ने अनि the difference that I see, I think going back to your question, main भनेको चाहिँ it is very rewarding. That work-life balance it does affect a bit, because you want to make sure that all aspects of business are doing well. It's like fine-tuning. It feels like someone doing a DJ on a DJ box, making sure all the buttons are tuned properly, so that the business is running smoothly. त्यसको लागि चाहिँ I try to have some free time for myself, but it's a work in progress. I think the longer I start, I continue doing this, the better I will get in work-life balance. So if I tell you that होइन मैले सबै perfectly balance गरिरहेको छु, I'll be lying to you, होइन. And मेरो honest answer भनेको चाहिँ it is a challenge. And I see that when पहिला जस्तै काममा गयो 9 बजे 5 बजे झोला बिसायो हैन, अब चाहिँ फ्री भयो, तर यहाँ चाहिँ it doesn't end at 5 हैन, and it doesn't start at 9.
Yeah. That's the main challenge. म पनि एकदम स्ट्रगल गरिरहेको छु अहिले.
हजुर.
तर एनीवेज सो मलाई अहिलेसम्म तपाईँले जस्ट इन केस अब कतिजना अरू साथीहरू पनि हुनुहुन्छ होइन जो चाहिँ अन्टरप्रेन्योरसिप जर्नीमा लागिराख्नु भएको छ एन्ड दे आर स्ट्रगलिङ वर्क लाइफ ब्यालेन्समा होइन. सो तर तपाईँ त आई नो यु रिड अ लट अफ बुक्स एन्ड यु भेरी स्मार्ट होइन. सो तपाईँले अहिलेसम्म सिकेको चाहिँ लास्ट 6 मन्थ्सको जर्नीमा चाहिँ वाट आर यु ह्याक्स एन्ड हाउ डु यु मेन्टेन यो वर्क लाइफ ब्यालेन्स भनौँ न, यु स्टिल फिगरिङ आउट, तर अहिलेसम्म सिक्दाखेरि चाहिँ अहिलेको थटमा चाहिँ तपाईँलाई के लाग्छ?
सबैभन्दा इम्पोर्टेन्ट आई थिङ्क कुनै पनि बिजनेस सुरु गर्नुभन्दा पहिला यु निड टु हेभ अ प्लान होइन. प्लान अर स्क्रिप्ट, जस्तै मुभी डाइरेक्टरको स्क्रिप्ट बिना इफ यु टेल एक्सन भनेर मुभी बन्दैन. यु निड टु हेभ द स्क्रिप्ट, यु निड टु हेभ द सिस्टम स्ट्रक्चर इन प्लेस. वान आई से सिस्टम्स होइन, अब जस्तै सर्भिसेस इन्डस्ट्रीमा चाहिँ द सफ्टवेयर्स यु युज होइन, द टेक्नोलोजी युटिलाइज इज भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट. वान्स द्याट फाउन्डेसन, अब हामीले घरको जग बनाउने बेला फाउन्डेसन बनाउँछ, त्यसपछि मात्र घर बनियो होइन. सेम इन बिजनेस, ह्याभ द इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर भनेको यु हेभ अ proper employee payroll system, have a proper technologies in place, have a proper marketing strategy, and have a proper plan. Ki 6 months ma what I want to achieve, 12 months ma where I want to be, and then if your business is doing well, how would you expand? It's a big question. It is not that difficult to maintain status quo. It is difficult to expand. Expand with the you are now open to more risk.
Thank you very much. That's a really, really nice advice, right? So what's the very rewarding case? I just wanted you to reflect on yourself. अहिलेसम्म तपाईँले केसहरूमा चाहिँ तपाईँलाई सबभन्दा रिवार्डिङ केस चाहिँ कुन लागेको थियो? के शेयर गर्न मिल्छ without sharing specific?
Yes. I can definitely do. Look, I've done a lot of different cases. The case that I really, because I remember the person's reaction and how they felt when I told them the good news. So I had a client from, not from Nepal, actually. It was from one of the African countries. she was an Australian citizen, and she was sponsoring her husband, who she had married for 15 years. They had 2 children. The problem was the husband had HIV. And normally,
shit.
say once you have HIV, you don't pass the health examination. She had gone to so many different lawyers and agents who had given up or not taken her case. Your possibility छैन, we don't want to waste your money. And they basically told her, like, unfortunately, it is not possible. It's also because which country he was from, होइन. If अलि वेल्थी कन्ट्रीमा भएको भए चाहिँ उसको इकोनोमिक ब्याकग्राउन्ड स्ट्रङ छ, उसले मेबी अस्ट्रेलियाको चाहिँ वेलफेयर सिस्टमलाई युज गर्दैन भनेर पनि त्यो कुड हेभ बिन सम. तर द कन्ट्री हि वाज फ्रम वाज सोसियो इकोनोमिकली भेरी डिसएडभान्टेज. अनि आई थिङ्क आफ्टर सो मेनी डिफ्रेन्ट अटेम्प्ट्स सी फाइनली केम टु मी. अनि we did her case, and we applied for subclass 309, which is an offshore permanent partner visa. And we got, because of the kids and everything, we got the health waiver and we got the visa. And he actually not only got 309, he got subclass 100 approved together, which is a PR. And she came to the office with all the gifts, because she was saying, I had given up on ever reuniting with my husband in Australia. So that for me was very rewarding, because I took that case knowing that there were a lot of other people who had actually not taken because it was too hard.
Okay, wow, that is amazing. Well done.
Thank you.
Now, अलिकति तपाईँको ब्याकग्राउन्डको बारेमा धेरै नै थाहा पायो र तपाईँको नलेज, तपाईँको ट्यालेन्ट, तपाईँको स्किल्स, लाइक वी अल रेस्पेक्ट, होइन, एज अ सबैजना भ्युवर्सले भन्न पनि सक्नुहुन्छ.
हजुर.
नाउ सो Madhav bro, I think we are almost come at the very end of our episode. So म लास्ट एउटा क्वेसन चाहिँ म आफूलाई पर्सनली पनि सोध्न मन लागेको चाहिँ, so you're into community, होइन. I've seen like you working really hard communityमा पनि, not only for your business, होइन. You've been Gulmi Samajको very young president at 2021.
Yes.
And then you worked as a secretary for NAV as well. Right? So you're a community leader. We respect you for that. Right? So what sort of legacy you want to leave for the community?
The legacy, yeah, I mean, I've been involved in community. I think there are always different ways of giving. It could be in a not-for-profit work. It could even be for a profit work. We see these large, corporations, they do a lot of good things, The legacy that I want to leave behind is, even if one person tomorrow after I die, say that I knew that guy and he was a good guy, I think that would be, an achievement. And if there is more than one, that would be a bonus.
Yes, there will be hundreds and thousands, I'm pretty sure.
Let's hope so.
Okay. Anyways, thank you so much. So I think we have covered most of his areas, भनौँ न, उहाँको expertise areasहरू पनि. And I think there's a lot of things that we know you now, म आफैले पनि, है. So thank you so much. आइदिनु भयो. How was your experience in Maven Podcast?
First of all, I want to really thank Maven and Maven team for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. And it's a great platform. And I want to congratulate you for the amazing work you're doing. And I'm a fan, I must say. And this kind of platform is very important, I think, for our community here. And I think your questions and everything was... sometimes, you put me on the spot, which is good because I like challenge. But it's an amazing experience, and I'm very humbled. And thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Madhab bro, for sharing all your insights, your opinions, and everything. So I hope I can have you again in our future episode too.
Yep.
Right?
I'll definitely love to come back, and hopefully by that time I have more insights.
100%. All right. So thank you so much, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. यदि तपाईहरुलाई रमाइलो लाग्यो भने चाहिँ प्लिज पुट डाउन अ कमेन्ट बिलो, है. एन्ड अन द सेम साइड, एज वी नो, हाम्रो 98% पिपुलले अझै पनि हामीलाई सब्सक्राइब गर्नु भएको छैन. तपाईहरुले सब्सक्राइब गरिदिनु भयो भने वी हेभ मोर कन्फिडेन्स, मोर सपोर्ट. यस्तै एपिसोड्सहरू लिएर आइराखौँ, तपाईहरुलाई नोट वर्दी एपिसोडहरू लिएर आइ नै राखौँ. त्यसैले गर्दाखेरि प्लिज डु नट फर्गेट टु सब्सक्राइब. थ्याङ्क यू भेरी मच. आई विल सी यु इन नेक्स्ट एपिसोड. थ्याङ्क यू. This podcast is presented by Maven Consulting Group. Reach out to them if you have any education and visa inquiry. Knowledge partner, Rees International College. They offer many courses such as aged care, commercial cookery, disability, early childhood, and many more. Supported by Capcom Home Loans, Australia's leading home loan specialist. Magic Momo Cafe, a perfect destination in Melbourne for an authentic Nepalese and Newari cuisines. Yatra The Connection, Australiaमा नेपालीहरूको लागि सबैभन्दा भरपर्दो travel company. Many Films, your photography and videography partner to capture your perfect moment. 25 Hours, the marketing boost you need for your business.